On the morning of February 24th, 2020, Florida police responded to a 911 call from Sarah reporting an accidental death. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but after arriving at the scene and interviewing all the witnesses, officers quickly realized something was horribly off.
But you've met him before?
I've met him before, yes.
Okay.
Yes, they've got a whole fun history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been arrested like I think 5 times for violence against her, so.
Really?
For all I know, all the times he got arrested, she started it. I don't know.
It seems Sarah and Jorge had a history of trouble with the law, with Jorge even being on parole when he met his untimely demise. But while Sarah was trying to make the cops think this was all a freak accident, they already knew that she was hiding something.
Yeah, you call it working.
What's going on?
So
I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah,
he and I were putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase, okay?
Sarah then states they drunkenly thought it'd be funny to hide Jorge inside of the suitcase. But what she doesn't share is that she had to zip up the suitcase with a paper clip because the zipper was broken, dramatically decreasing the odds of Jorge being able to get out of the suitcase and survive this deadly game of hide and seek. On top of that, Sarah lied and said she didn't fully close the suitcase, falsely stating there were 2 fingers worth of space so Jorge could unzip himself. But sadly, this was not the case, as she fully made sure he couldn't get out, proved by the horrifying video detectives would later find on her phone. But in the moment, Sarah would try and hide all this from the cops by saying she had gotten tired and left Jorge in the suitcase to take a nap.
The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found him.
Before you called?
Yes!
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
So you were playing and who zipped him up in
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What kind of medical?
Sarah's cover story was that after realizing Jorge was still in the suitcase, she frantically unzipped it, only to find his lifeless body. She pulled Jorge out of the luggage and looked for signs of life, but couldn't find any. Instead of calling the police, Sarah called her ex-husband Brian, who picked up immediately, as he had been calling her all that morning to ask if she knew that it was her turn to collect their son from school. He hadn't been able to reach her and assumed that she was just calling him back. Oh, how wrong he was. When he picked up the phone, he was met with a panicked Sarah asking him what she should do. He told her to hang up and call the police, so that's what she did.
Just give us a second, okay?
Somebody else on that call a break and
It's on the counter.
I can't move anything from out of the house.
Bravo, but
Thirsty, like I'm
Here, I want you to sit down because I don't want you passing out. This is probably a lot for you to deal
I
with,
need
right? Sit.
May I have some water? Just water.
I can get you some water, okay? Just I want you not on your seat because I don't want you passing out on me.
Generator call.
I need water.
Okay, I'll get some for you.
You're trying to, Charlie, put you on it.
Sarah's lack of concern and stoic demeanor is another red flag for detectives on the scene. She was constantly asking the interviewing officer if she could grab her Dr. Pepper inside the apartment, almost as if she was trying to get close to the crime scene. Or she just cared more about getting a drink than her boyfriend of 3 years who had just died in her living room. Now Brian, Sarah's ex-husband, had driven up to the apartment and in an interview with the police, revealed the next important clue. sharing that Sarah was prone to getting violent when she drank, most of the time using her nails to cause as much damage as possible. He also shared everything he knew about Sarah and Jorge's relationship, but he said one specific bit of info that really stuck out.
What can you tell me about her?
I don't, she's generally not, she can get a bit violent when she drinks.
And you said when she drinks that she can get physically aggressive?
She can. I mean, she did it to me a lot, where she'd hit me and stuff like that. I mean, she would, yeah, she'd punch me. I mean, more arms. She many times would use her claws. I mean, I had scratches on my neck at times, on my arms. I mean, things like that, where she'd dig with her claws.
Okay.
So for all I know, all the times he got arrested, she started it. I don't know.
After interviewing Sarah's ex-husband and realizing this sort of behavior was normal for her, detectives slowly started to notice the holes in her story, like the fact that Sarah only drank 2 glasses of wine that night, but it was enough for her to pass out, even though she had a history of heavy drinking. Or why would Jorge ask Sarah to zip him up in the suitcase so he could hide? Wouldn't that completely defeat the purpose of the game of hide and seek? But all this was nothing compared to the evidence they would find on Sarah's phone, because after inspecting it, cops quickly found a horrifying video that Sarah had drunkenly recorded that night. The video isn't graphic, but it is distressing, as it involves Jorge pleading with Sarah to be let out of the suitcase, saying he can't breathe.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
As you can hear, Jorge clearly was not playing a game and was instead pleading for Sarah to unzip him, stating multiple times that he couldn't breathe. It was clear to detectives that Sarah in the video did not share the same urgency or worry that Jorge was clearly exhibiting, as she constantly egged him on and said that he deserved this. With all this evidence, Sarah Boone became the main suspect in this investigation, and the very next day, she was brought in for questioning. Now, when the interrogation began, Sarah assumed this was just a routine questioning of witnesses. Little did she know, the detectives already knew Sarah was responsible. They just wanted to connect all the dots and figure out why.
So, this morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So, so he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit and then you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little
I haven't laid a
swollen.
hand on him.
Notice how after informing Sarah about the autopsy report on Jorge and the scratches on his back and neck, Sarah dismisses them as everyday clumsiness and encounters. And while clueless bystanders might be inclined to agree with her, the detectives have statements from Sarah's ex-husband who said that she would always use her nails in physical altercations, hence the scratches. The detective continues to press on the issue until Sarah explodes.
He also had, on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on his head and skull.
I have no idea.
As if something hit him.
I
considered
have not
blunt force
touched him.
trauma.
I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
Then how would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know.
Nevertheless, Sarah continued to deny any sort of involvement in Jorge's injuries, even trying to play the victim.
I I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is.
As you can see in the clip, Sarah was not afraid to drastically change the direction of the questions the officers were asking her. She would often do this throughout her interrogation and always tried to turn herself into the victim.
And at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures, bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose. I've got this.
Right.
I don't know if Brian told you about it, where I had to have I had one really bad surgery, but then it got really, 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 really bad, where I had to go like 4 or 5 more times afterwards for them to tend to it, from him poking me in the back of the leg.
Right.
So it's...
Then why are you still with him?
Everybody asks me that. When I tell you guys this, I really love him. Like I do. And I feel like I can help him. Like I feel like I could help him, which I did, because he came a really long way. I don't think you all understand who I am, where...
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight-A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son.
Okay.
I excel at everything.
Now, while Sarah is asked to go more in depth about the relationship between her and Jorge, Sarah is constantly contradicting herself, saying that they were doing good and then proceeding to talk negatively about him, obviously trying to throw the shade in Jorge's direction. This keeps going on for 20 or so more minutes until the detectives decide to pull out their trump card, the incriminating video from Sarah's phone. And things go as badly as you'd expect from a murderer realizing they accidentally recorded themselves ending someone.
So, to your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I have something that I want to show you that we found, and it was from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
If you need to move it around, go ahead.
No, I don't remember that. I would not do that.
You wouldn't zip somebody in a suitcase?
Well, I didn't completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for him to get out. And I wasn't planning on going upstairs and going to sleep.
Okay. No, it's just the way you said it.
You guys are scaring me.
Why?
Do I have to watch this? I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Well, it's on your phone, and you can either explain it or we take it for what it is. And that's you, your voice.
Stupid.
Last time we talked to you, you had said that you put him in the suitcase, you had 2 fingers hanging out. And you
I
went
flipped
to
him
bed.
over. I flipped him over, and that's where it was.
There's 2 different videos and a still picture where, yeah, it shows you flipping him in different positions and him saying that he can't breathe and you saying fuck you.
So this is upside down. So in order for him to have gotten into it,
it was flipped up.
Right. It was flipped up normal.
Yes.
Like as if you're packing something. So this is upside down.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
After being made aware of the video she had taken that night, it's at this point that Sarah's story really begins to crack. She states several times that her zipping him up in the suitcase and going to bed wasn't intentional, even though the video clearly shows otherwise. Needless to say, the detectives aren't buying it.
So I have something that I want to show you that we found, and it was from your phone.
No.
It is not leading up, it is not matching what statement you gave us in the car.
So,
and that's why we want to know.
And I don't remember doing those.
The injuries are not consistent with what you've told us. So we have a lot of inconsistencies.
As the interrogation comes to a close, Sarah seems to think that she was going to go home that night, but that wasn't the case. The detectives arrested Sarah and put her in handcuffs as she asked, over and over, why she was being arrested. As of right now, Sarah Boone's criminal trial is currently set to take place on October 2nd, 2023, almost 4 years after the murder.